The last Welsh states were conquered by Edward, the third in the 13th century, and it was split up between the king's heir, who was given the title the Prince of Wales, and March lords one of these in the late 14th century, was Owain Glyndŵr, who had land disputes with his English neighbour. Baron Grey de Ruthin, Owain had campaigned with Richard II in Scotland, but in 1399, Richard was ousted by Henry IV king.
Henry faced a lot of opposition after this.
Notably, many nobles unsuccessfully tried to oust him during the Epiphany Rising.
But Baron Grey de Ruthin was a prominent ally of Henry,
and he used his new position within the king's court to claim the disputed land back of Owain. Ruthin also prevented royal summons from reaching Owain, meaning Owain did not provide troops for Henry's Scottish campaign, a treasonable act. Owain then either attacked Ruthin's land,
or his land was just threatened to be taken from him.
So with a couple of followers, including the Judas of Pedminit, the ancestors of the Judah dynasty, Owain rose up in 14 over the border. Henry lacked support from groups, like the followers of the Lolot heresy, who had been welcomed by King Richard, and Henry had taken his armies north to fight the Scottish, so Owain was able to quickly seize the northeast of Wales.
In September 14th, King Henry returned from Scotland.
But Welsh guerrillas harassed their supply lines, forcing him to retreat, so Henry then recruited help from his old ally, Henry Percy, the Lord of Northumberland,
and his son Harry Hotspur, but the Welsh rebels,
in order to defend against this new upcoming invasion,
tricked their way into Conway Castle in 1401. So as Owain's outnumbered forces won in the south, at minute Hagan Hotspur
could not take the rebel stronghold in Conway Castle.
Hotspur therefore tried to make peace, but
King Henry refused to acknowledge these peace attempts,
and invaded again in October. But this too
failed because of the Welsh guerrilla tactics, and in 1402, Owain captured his old rival Ruthin in an ambush, plus at the Battle of Brynglas in June.
He captured Edmund Mortimer, the descendant of Edward III,
and uncle to King Richard II's old heir, who was also called Edmund Mortimer. King Henry refused to pay the ransom, so Edmund Mortimer agreed to join Owain. Plus Edmund's sister was married to Harry Hotspur Percy.
So the Percys, who were already angry with Henry for not being paid to defend the Scottish borders
and losing military command in Wales, also joined Owain. These three leaders then signed the tripartite indenture, agreeing to divide the kingdom between themselves, and Henry IV also made the situation a lot worse for himself through a series of anti-Welsh legislations, like banning any English people from marrying a Welsh person. This encouraged many Welsh people to rise up and join Owain,
as he marched south to take Cardiff and Newport. In 1403, plus the French and Breton began
sending men and weapons to help the Welsh rebellion. But despite this aid,
they still failed to take Carnarvon Castle in the north.
And at Shrewsbury in July 1403,
Hotspur was killed in battle,
ending the Percys' involvement. Nevertheless, Owain continued to take Aberystwyth in 1404 and held court at Harlech, where he was crowned the Prince of Wales.
But the English forces, now under the king's son, they fought back a Welsh attack on Grosmont Castle, killed Owain's son at Usk,
and landed in Anglesey and recaptured Beaumaris. Even more French were sent to aid in the rebellion, but for some unknown reason,
after crossing the English border,
they withdrew without fighting. The momentum was therefore lost, and the French didn't send any more troops.
Due to increasing political tensions at home,
that would lead to the outbreak of the Armagnac, Burgundian civil war. So in 1406, Owain sent a letter to Charles VI offering to create a national church of Wales, and as part of the larger Western Schism,
pledged allegiance to the Avignon papacy,
as opposed to the Roman papacy.
But this failed to gain more French support,
and Prince Henry changed tactics. Instead of risking further guerrilla attacks, he used the castles he still controlled to block off trade and supplies from own supporters.
So as Owain was still campaigning and raiding,
a lot of his supporters surrendered, allowing Henry to besiege Aberystwyth and Horlog.
In 1408, many leaders like Edmund Mortimer
died during these sieges, and in 1410, a last raid in the Shropshire saw many other leaders caught and later executed.
Owain, therefore, had lost most of his lands and supporters,
and was reduced to conducting raids while in hiding. He was last seen in 1412 when he caught and ransomed a prominent Welsh supporter of King Henry. But Owain was not betrayed or came forward, so his fate remains a mystery. Then in 1413, Prince Henry inherited his father's throne, becoming Henry V, and unlike his father,
he was willing to offer royal pardons, as he prepared to go to war with France. But the anti-Welsh laws remained in place until the Tudor period.
and the country was left in ruins, and many Welsh landowning families had been wiped out.